The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning. I want to welcome everybody to our webinar today. Today we have Alex Larson presenting. He is the East Region Channel Manager for Jet Reports. And our topic today is going to be a look at the Jet suite of products, Excel integrated and custom reporting for NAV. Obviously everybody's going to stay muted because it would just be real noisy all the time if we weren't. But if you have any questions at any time, feel free to type those in to the question box. Generally, we'll hold questions until the very end, and then Alex can address all of them at once. But if you have something that you feel needs to be asked in the moment, kind of throw that comment in while you're typing your question, and I'll give a shout to Alex to interrupt him where he's at so we can get a question asked in real time. With that, Alex, I'm going to turn things over to you.
Thank you, Abby. Again, my name is Alex Larson. I'm the East Region Channel Manager here at Jet Reports. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. And I'm very excited to be here and present our suite of products to you. First of all, to give you a little bit of background on our company, Jet Reports is the leading reporting and business intelligence solutions provider for Dynamics NAV. We have over 70,000 users worldwide with offices in over 50 countries. We are a Microsoft strategic partner in that some of our software is actually developed in collaboration with Microsoft. And a couple of things that really set us apart from our competition are our renowned customer service across 24 time zones and 24-hour technical support and access to our community and support site resources. As a quick look at today's agenda, today we will be going over 3 products. First, our Jet Express product, which is offered for free out of the box with NAV 2009 and 2013 and is built for fast, easy financials and database queries. Second, we'll take a look at Jet Essentials, which is more of our full operational reporting product that uses real-time data directly from your NAV database. And then finally, we'll take a look at Jet Enterprise, which is a full business intelligence solution where you can really measure different trends and analytics within your organization. So first we're going to take a look at Jet Express, and what I'd like to go over first is what exactly is Jet Express. So Jet Express is an Excel add-in that's meant for real-time reporting and again is available to you free of charge in NAV 2009 and 2013, and it's intended for Excel integrated financial reporting with NAV user level security, simple cell-by-cell level design of financial statements utilizing our GL function, ad hoc database queries from any table utilizing the table builder, and really just powerful usability with minimal training. What Jet Express is not is full operational reporting, business intelligence and analytics, or reporting automation. While Jet Express is not these things, both Jet Essentials and Jet Enterprise cover these aspects very well. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time on Jet Express because it is a free product. We do offer a lot of different resources available to you. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my browser here. And right now we're at jetexpress.jetreports.com. And what this is it's our Jet Express Resource Center. So this is everything that you need to be able to successfully use our Express products. So up here at the top, we have where you're able to download the product as well as links to our how-to videos as well as pre-built reports. Down below that, we have the different system requirements. And then at the bottom, we have some training and quick start materials. So we have training on the different features and functionality here, as well as installing the software. Over here on the right-hand side, you're going to see this free Jet Express training. If you click on this and fill out the information, what you're able to do is receive a full 1-hour training of only Jet Express. Up here at the top, we have some different tabs. So if you click on the Reports Library tab, this is going to give you access to our report player. And the report player is something that we offer for all three of our products. And essentially what it is a repository of dozens of pre-built reports with everything ranging from sales to finance to inventory, AR, AP, that can be used as a baseline for your reports in your organization and tweaked however you deem necessary. In addition to that, we have online help as well as a community support site specifically for JetExpress. So if you do have any questions or would like to talk to other users of JetExpress, the community site is a great place to do that. So next what we're going to take a look at is Jet Essentials. So Jet Essentials is a traditional reporting tool that uses real-time data directly from your NAV database to give operational level financial and managerial information. Now the reason I like to give this presentation in Excel is to reiterate the fact that Jet Reports is all in Excel. So you have all of your basic Excel functionality with the addition of Jet's powerful reporting capabilities. In addition, Jet Essentials was created for and integrated into NAV to work seamlessly together, which I'll show you a little bit more of later in the demo. So taking a look at our toolbar here at the top, as you can see, we are in Excel. So I have all of my Excel ribbons here, and Jet is just an add-in to my Excel ribbon. We have some of our wizards here, which I'll go through, as well as some of the different tools. And then over here in the settings area, here we can select our default database. So in addition to NAV, Jet can connect to any SQL or ODBC compliant database. So I would say about 95% of the databases that businesses use, Jet is able to connect to them. In addition to that, if you have multiple companies within your NAV database, you can very easily toggle between those right here, as well as create consolidated reports across multiple companies. So the way that we license the software is by designers and viewers. They're pretty much just as they sound, whereas a designer is going to be the person physically designing the report, and the viewer is just going to be able to refresh the report as well as change any filter parameters. So first we're going to take a look at the viewer perspective, and in order to do that, I'm just going to pull up a finished report here. So here we have a consolidated profit and loss by company. So in our columns here we have our 4 different companies in our sample database and then a consolidated total here at the end. In addition to that, we also have a sheet replicator function which allows us to have a separate Excel sheet for each of our companies, and then the 3 different departments within that company and a consolidated total as well. So as you can see, we have a separate sheet for each of our 4 companies. So now I'm just going to go back to the consolidated P&L here. Now, as a viewer in Jet Essentials, one of the things that you're able to do is refresh these reports. So up here in the upper left quadrant, you're going to see this refresh button. So if I go ahead and click that, what it's going to do is it's going to pull up my report options. So the report options are the different filter parameters that have been built in by the designer of the report that the viewer is able to change. So for this particular report, the viewer is able to change the date, department, company, or currency. So for example, if I only wanted to see my 2 U.S. companies, I'm going to click on this up arrow next to company and select my 2 U.S. companies and click OK. And then I'm going to click Run on this report. And when I click Run, it's going to go back to my NAV database and dynamically update this report to match those new filter parameters. So now, as you can see, we just have our 2 U.S. companies and then a consolidated total for those, as well as only separate sheets for those U.S. companies as well. Now, one of the great features of Jet Essentials is the ability to drill down. So using this feature, users are able to see exactly where the data in the report is coming from directly in the NAV database. So if I click on my sale of retail here within my East U.S. company, you're going to notice this down arrow. So if I go ahead and click on the drill down arrow next to the sale of retail figure, It's going to open up my NAV database, recognizing all of my security permissions. So all of the security permissions you have set up in NAV will be honored here as well. So if somebody doesn't have access to payroll or finance or any portion of the NAV database, they're not going to be able to access it through JET either. And then I'm just going to click OK. So at this point, we're working in the NAV database, and you can really work between the two applications to see where the data in your reports is coming from. So for that sale of retail figure, here we have all of our invoices and credit memos that make up that number. And what I can do is I can navigate around to see the individual invoices in as much detail as I'd like to see, just as I would in normally working with NAV. So let's take a look at one more report. So here we have more of an operational report. This is a top customer sales analysis. So currently we have our top 5 customers. So their names, salesperson name, percent of total sales, and then a month to date, quarter to date, and year to date for their sales, last year's sales, and variance. Again, as a viewer in this report, I can go up here and click refresh, and it's going to pull up my report options. So for this particular report, the designers built in a larger number of filters that we're able to change. So for this particular report, we're able to change top number of customers, report date, sales amount, customer number, customer posting group, salesperson code, and whether you'd like to see last year's sales or not. So if I wanted to see my top 10 customers, I would just enter that in here, click run on the report, and again, it's going to go back to the NAV database and update the report to now show my top 10 customers instead of my top 5. Now, one of the other great features of JET Essentials is the ability to automate the running of and distribution of all of your reports. So up here on the JET ribbon, we have our scheduler tool. I'm just going to go ahead and open that up. And then I'm going to create a new task. And let's just call this customer report. From there, I can schedule how often I'd like this report to run, so whether I'd like it to run daily, weekly, monthly, or at any interval. So if I wanted this report to run weekly, I can then select the start date and time, as well as which days of the week I would like it to run. So let's say Tuesdays and Thursdays. From there, I can select who I'd like the report to be distributed to. So via email here, I can type these in manually or select them from an Excel named range. In addition to distributing them via email, they can also be sent to a network drive or even a SharePoint document library. And then finally, I can select the output. Now, while sending these out as a JET workbook is going to enable the recipient to be able to refresh the report as well as drill down on the data if they have JET installed, because we are in Excel, these reports can be saved or sent out in virtually any format that a normal Excel file can. So within our scheduler tool here, some of the options that we have are PDF, web page, or even just static Excel files. So now we're going to take a look at the designer side of JET Essentials. And in order to do that, I'm just going to open up a blank workbook. So while we do offer report writing classes for designers to learn to write more complex reports, there's still a lot of out-of-the-box functionality to help start building reports from the get-go. One of my favorite tools for building reports is our browser tool. So up here in the wizard section of the JET ribbon, we have our browser. And using the browser, designers are able to build reports using intuitive drag and drop technology. So if I go ahead and open up the browser, what it's going to do is it's going to give me a visual representation of my entire NAV database. So over here on the left-hand side, we have all of the tables within NAV, and as I click through them, on the right-hand side, all of the fields within that in those tables. So if I go to my customer table, what we'll do is we'll create a quick customer sales report. So once in my customer table, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select some different fields that I'd like to include in my report. So if I want my customer name, customer number, let's grab the state, the salesperson code, and then the sales amount. Once I've selected the fields for my report, I'm just going to use the drag and drop technology to drag and drop it into my Excel workbook. And then I'm going to close out of the browser. Now what this has done is it's written a series of JET functions that have asked us to go back to the database and pull every single customer name, number, state, salesperson code, and sales amount. So if I go up here and I click refresh on the report, that's exactly what it's going to do. So now we have all of our customers. Now I'm going to jump back into design mode, so up here in the upper left quadrant. And now clearly in most cases you're not going to need or want to see every single one of your customers. You're going to want to be able to filter on certain parameters. And in order to do that, we're going to go up here and we're going to utilize our function wizard. And at the bottom of the function wizard, we have this area for filters. You can add as many filters as you'd like. So you'll see in a second, once I start adding filters, that every time I add a filter, a new box will pop up below it. So let's say that I only wanted to see customers in a certain state. So I would just type in state. And then let's say that I only want to see customers in the states of Oregon and Washington. Next, let's say that I only want to see customers within a certain date range. So again, I'm just going to add a date filter here. And let's say I only want to see customers in the first quarter of 2001. Once I've added these, I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. So now when I go back up here and I click refresh on the report again, as you can see, now we just have our customers in the states of Oregon and Washington that had a sales transaction in that first quarter of 2001. So let's jump back into design mode one more time. And now let's go ahead and use some of Excel's functionality to add some additional calculations as well as formatting to this report. So if I wanted to add a commission calculation to my sales, let's say 5%, and then I'm just going to utilize Excel and an Excel formula here. And then let's go ahead and add some subtotals here at the bottom. Go ahead and hit auto sum. And then let's do some formatting. So we'll make those accounting numbers. Let's add a little bit of color. And then let's get rid of the grid lines. I'm going to pull over this fit here at the top just so it auto fits my columns. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a graphical representation. So I'm going to add a pie chart. So I'm going to pull my customer's name and their sales amounts, and I'm going to insert a pie chart. So once I've added the calculations, added the subtotals, and then added my pie chart here, I'm going to go back to the JET ribbon and refresh this report one more time. And as you can see, JET has carried through all my calculations, all my subtotals, as well as updated my pie chart with the information that I had asked it to pull. So customers in the states of Oregon and Washington in that first quarter of 2001. Now, let's say that I wanted to include a second table in this report as well. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back into design mode. And let's say that we also wanted the salesperson's name in addition to the code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more column here. And let's call this salesperson name. I'm going to pull over the fit. Now I know that the salesperson name is not in the customer table. Instead it's in the salesperson purchaser table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my function wizard again. And in the table area, we're just going to go to our salesperson purchaser table. In the field, we're going to go ahead and select name, and then we're going to filter on the code. And then we're just going to use Excel cell referencing to reference our salesperson code here. I'm going to lock that down, and then I'm going to click OK. So now, again, when I go back and click refresh, now we have all of our salesperson names from our salesperson purchaser table, as well as the rest of the information from our customer table. So this covers everything that I wanted to go over for Jet Essentials. Now we're going to switch gears and talk a little bit about Jet Enterprise. One thing that I do want to point out is our products do build off of each other. So everything that you have seen in Jet Essentials is also included in Jet Enterprise. So typically when you ask 4 or 5 different people what business intelligence is, you're going to get 4 or 5 different answers. So for the purpose of this discussion, when we talk about BI and Jet Enterprise, what we're talking about is reporting from a data warehouse and cube environment. Now, to explain what that is for those of you that aren't too familiar, I like to use this graphic right here. So here we're going to start over on the left-hand side. This is our NAV database, or our raw data. And NAV has roughly 1,000 tables and over 10,000 fields. And what we found is that most end users only use about 15 tables and 100 fields for reporting purposes. So this is why a data warehouse becomes important. A data warehouse is meant to only store the information that is relevant for reporting. So that is taking the very large data set that is your NAV database and trimming it down to something much more manageable. The data warehouse goes a step further and organizes the data by subject matter. So notice the icons in the graphic are now lined up in rows. So this means that all the data that is related to sales is put into the sales section of the data warehouse, regardless of which table it lives in on the NAV database. So sales data could live in 6 tables in NAV. In the data warehouse, now it's all in one table in one place. So going a step further in optimizing the data, the cube makes the data even more relevant for analysis. So this is where dimensionality and key performance indicators come into play. So notice on the graphic that not only are the icons lined up, but they're also organized by color. The cube has now taken every possible combination of dimension and value and laid it out into one flat file format. So this means that if you wanted to see sales by item, by region, by year, that analysis is already done for you and sitting there waiting to be viewed with a couple clicks of your mouse. So this is one of the reasons why analysis out of a cube is instantaneous. The other reason is that the data set is much smaller. The cube then goes a step further and pre-calculates any formula-based values like gross profit. So this is where your custom KPIs are added. And the added benefit of this is that your organization is now working from one version of the truth, or everybody's using that exact same formula to calculate gross profit. So think of this entire structure as going from a lot of data to only a little, from everything to relevant only, from complex to simple, and from slow to fast. The 3 main advantages of a business intelligence solution with Jet Enterprise are, first, consolidation and performance. So having a dedicated reporting database with data warehousing cubes. Second is speed. Because it's built for reporting, all of your analysis is going to be almost instantaneous. And then third is ease of use. So since the data is already organized, the typical end user does not need to know how the data relates together in the database. So what we're offering at Jet Reports is a pre-built data warehouse and 7 pre-built cubes specifically for NAV that'll cover the majority of what your organization needs. Now, the small portion that it doesn't cover, this is where our back-end tool, the Jet Data Manager, comes into play. And it's used to customize these cubes to fit your organization. And the great thing about it is it's extremely user-friendly, so you don't need to be a BI or a SQL expert by any means. And then finally, as is with our entire product line, the front end is entirely in Excel. So you have the ability to utilize all of Excel's functionality in addition to Jet's powerful reporting and business intelligence capabilities. And what we're going to utilize with Jet Enterprise is pivot table functionality, which I'll be showing you a little bit of next. So let's go ahead and take a look at what a finished report in Jet Enterprise looks like. So here we have a report that was built in Jet Enterprise. So as you can see, with Enterprise, we're able to create more of the dashboard type feel like you see here. So here we have a sales dashboard. In the center, we have some charts and graphs. These measure some of our different KPIs. So here we have our sales amount, profit, and profit percentage year over year. We have our sales amount and profit by item category. We have our sales amount by salesperson, and then we have sales amount by a global dimension 1, which is department. Around it, we have some different slicers. If you're not familiar with slicers, basically all they are visual filters that are available in Excel 2010 and higher. So we have both of our global dimensions, country, year, company, salesperson, item category, and product group. So if I just wanted to see my North American company here for the years 2007, 2008, and 2009, I could select those slicers, and as you can see, the data within my charts and graphs is updating instantaneously. So this is looking at a very large amount of data over multiple years, whereas if you were to create a similar report in using a traditional reporting tool, it could take a significant amount of time to run or refresh this report. However, since we're reporting from a data warehouse and cube environment, this analysis is almost instantaneous. So now let's take a look at what it actually takes to build one of these dashboards within Jet Enterprise. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a blank workbook here. So with Jet Enterprise, what we're going to utilize is on our Jet ribbon is this pivot table cubes icon. So I'm going to go ahead and open that. And this is where you're going to be able to access those 7 pre-built cubes that I mentioned earlier. So these are the cubes that we do deliver out of the box. So finance, inventory, manufacturing, payables, purchase, receivables, and sales. So if I want to access my sales cube, I'm just going to go ahead and double click on that. It's just going to open up a normal pivot table for me here. Now over here on the right hand side within the pivot table, this is where you're going to be able to access all of the measures and dimensions that are housed within your cube. So the first thing that we're going to select is our different measures. Now measures are just going to be the different values, numerical values, so amounts, quantities, profit percentage, etc. So if I wanted to see my sales amount, profit, and profit percentage, I would just select those, and it's going to drop them into my pivot table. Currently, these are the numbers for all time, but we'll change that in just a second. The next thing that we're going to select is the different dimensions. Now, when I say dimensions, I do want to be clear that these are not the same types of dimensions that you have in NAV. So what I'm talking about when I'm talking about dimensions from the cube, Dimensions are simply the things that you want to be able to slice and dice the information by. So if I wanted to see my sales amount, profit, and profit percentage by customer, I would go down here to our bill to customer dimension, select that, and now I have all of my customers listed. Next, if I wanted to see this data year over year, I would go down here to our posting date dimension, select that, and now we have it year over year. Next to each of the years, you also notice these plus signs. So what I can actually do is expand this and see the data by quarter, by month, or even by day as well. So now we're just going to simplify things back up for a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and take out my profit percentage, take out my customers, and take out my posting dates. So now we're back to just our sales amount and profit. So let's take a look at it by a couple of other dimensions. So if we wanted to see this by item category, select item category here. Or if I wanted to see it by salesperson, select salesperson. So now we have it grouped first by item category, then by salesperson. If we wanted it the other way around, just go down to our row labels, switch them. There we go. I can also expand these using the plus signs to see the individual items and their sales amount and profit within each item category. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a graphical representation of this. So I'm going to go ahead and insert a column chart. I'm just going to line that up a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and insert some slicers. So insert slicer filter. Now when I go to insert slicer filter, this is going to give me access to every single dimension that's housed within the cube. So I can slice and dice this by anything that I have built within the cube. So if I wanted a slicer for year, select year. If I wanted one for item category, select item category. And then let's select salesperson as well. I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. Then I'm going to line up the slicers. So now, if I just wanted to see my data for the year 2011 for bags and totes and caps and hats, and only for Annette Hill, Bart Duncan, and John Roberts, I can select those slicers, and as you can see, it's updating both my pivot table as well as my chart here. So really, to get to the dashboard type feel like we have here, all that we're doing is we're adding some additional pivot tables, some charts and graphs, and then finally some slicers to be able to slice and dice on the information. So for example, here we have our sales amount, profit, and profit percentage year over year. If we wanted to see the details in the pivot table behind this, all that we have to do is click on this details tab here. And it's going to show me the pivot table with the actual numbers that back up the data within the dashboard. So this covers everything that I wanted to go over for Jet Enterprise. One thing that I do want to mention before we wrap things up here is that within the next 30 to 60 days, we will also be launching what we're calling Jet Mobile, which will be an add-on to our enterprise solution, which will enable you to access all of your dashboards as well as the data warehouse and cubes via all of your mobile devices. So we'll start out with iPads and then expand from there as well. So this wraps up today's session. It does look like we have a little bit of time left. Can I answer any questions for anyone?
Alex, so far we haven't gotten any questions, but if anybody has a question or would like Alex to address anything, you can go ahead and type it into that question box, and I'm sure he will address that for us. We'll leave it open here for another minute or so. Well, Alex, it looks like you were very thorough. We don't have any questions.
All right, sounds great. Well, I'd like to thank you all for your time today, and if you do have any questions or would like to inquire about any of our solutions or Jet Mobile, please email us at sales.us@jetreports.com or myself directly at alexl@jetreports.com.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great afternoon.